Lampedusa is 7.7 square miles, and there are 4,000 inhabitants. Whilst we were there, 6,000 arrivals from Tunisia and Libya. The island simply cannot sustain that amount of people, and I think that's more than clear from the scenes that we witnessed.
Il est mort de faim d'ici. Il est mort. Il n'y a pas de toilettes, tout le monde est parti aux campagnes là-bas, ça c'est rien. Comment ça se fait là? Même les douches et rien. Il y a tout le monde.
Ici, tu as mangé ici, il n'y a pas.
Ça c'est rien là qui veut rester ici. En plus, tout le monde il fait froid ce soir. Il a dormi dans la rue, dans la route.
We don't even really need to talk about, human rights standards. It was so below that. And we're just on a very human level seeing people who were just living in conditions that didn't allow for human dignity. No one should be subjected to living in those kinds of conditions, regardless of who you are or why you fled.
Io dormo sempre a bordo, non ho visto il trasferimento, non lo so dove li trasferiscono, in aereo o in barca, però quello che so è che siamo, io parlo per me, del 23 e tanti altri che siamo qua. Tutti i giorni siamo con le autorità e sempre tutti i giorni le stesse promesse.
In terms of people being returned to Tunisia, and there have been reports over the last few days that the Italian authorities have started to return people. There should never be an assumption that an entire population are simply economic migrants. There may well be asylum seekers and refugees amongst them. If that's the case, everyone should be informed of their right to claim asylum should they want to do so. These are very basic human rights, and really regardless of your reasons for having fled or left a country, you're entitled to those minimums. Over the last couple of weeks, hundreds of lives have been lost at sea, people taking unseaworthy boats, mainly from Libya, but also from Tunisia. What they have done in the past, and which they simply cannot do now, is push back boats. They need to make sure, firstly, that there are more and better search and rescue operations, so that when boats do capsize, fewer lives are lost. And at the same time, they need to ensure that any search and rescue operations are fully compliant with human rights and refugee law. Amnesty will be raising concerns with the Italian government. We really want to strongly emphasise, and I think I've tried to do this, that Lampedusa cannot receive and accommodate the numbers of people arriving from Libya and Tunisia. It has to be purely a transit centre. People need to be taken onto the mainland, and so that people can be treated with dignity, have access to asylum procedures, for example, access to adequate accommodation and so on, and have their cases properly processed. Now that can never happen on Lampedusa Island. This was a humanitarian crisis that was of the Italian government's own making. It's a humanitarian crisis that could have been avoided.